You've been taught that dominance is loud, that the man who talks over the room, who performs the hardest, who sells himself the most, wins. But that isn't how female attraction works in the real world. The truth, the one almost no one tells you, is that a woman is not magnetized by volume. She's magnetized by gravity. Gravity doesn't shout. It doesn't chase. It stands still and everything moves toward it. That is the silent dominance switch. It's the subtle reconfiguration of your presence that makes her lean in, that invites her to invest, that turns pursuit into a natural reflex instead of a chore. And once you understand it, you won't ask, "How do I make her like me?" You'll ask a better question. How do I become the kind of man she is relieved to find? Let's begin with the pressure you've been carrying. The pressure to be entertaining on command. The pressure to respond instantly. The pressure to fix silence as if silence were a problem. This pressure bleeds neediness from your pores, and women feel it before you speak. The silent dominance switch starts where pressure ends, at the level of your nervous system. You can fake lines and you can borrow techniques, but you cannot fake regulation. When your breath is shallow and your mind is sprinting, your body broadcasts insecurity in 1,000 microsignals. Rushed nods, jittery eyes, overeager smiles. She doesn't interpret this consciously, but she feels your storm and steps back. When your breath is grounded, your gaze unhurried, your pause is intentional, your body broadcasts certainty. Certainty is safety, and safety is the soil where desire grows. So before any word leaves your lips, commit to this. You will be the slowest heartbeat in the room. In practice, that means letting silence arrive and not rescuing it. Meeting her gaze and staying a beat longer than you're used to, letting a slight smile reach your eyes before it reaches your mouth. She will feel all of this. Most men never give her the gift of an unhurried presence. You will. Now understand frame. Frame is the invisible story of what's happening between you. In the wrong frame, you are the applicant, and she is the interviewer. You keep proving, validating, persuading. In the right frame, you are the host, and she is your guest. Not in an arrogant way, in a grounded, generous way. Your life is a place she visits, and your attention is the rarest item in that place. If you don't believe that, no sentence can save you. This is not about acting superior. It's about recognizing the value of your time, your standards, your mission. Put it simply, a man without a mission is forced to make a woman his mission. That suffocates attraction. When your mission is alive, your calendar has a spine. You can say, "I've got 45 minutes before I head to the gym, coffee works," and mean it. You can end a great conversation while it's peaking and say, "I like your energy. Let's continue this Thursday." Scarcity becomes real because your life is real. That's the first click of the switch. Calibrate next. Silent dominance isn't the absence of warmth. It's warmth with a backbone. She tests that backbone constantly, not out of malice, but to feel what you're made of. She'll say something provocative to see if you flinch. She'll withdraw a little to see if you scramble. She'll disagree to see if you collapse or if you can hold contrast without attacking. Your job is to stay playful and grounded. If she jokes about your shoes, you smirk and say, "I like a woman with taste. Keep going." And you hold eye contact just long enough to turn banter into tension. If she says, "I'm complicated," you nod slowly and reply, "Good. I prefer layered." Then move the conversation forward. You're not battling her. You're inviting her into your rhythm. Believe me, rhythm matters more than content. Words are surface. Pacing is the current underneath. When you slow down, you force her to feel. When you speed up in bursts, just a few words, a spark of laughter, you create contrast she can follow. This ebb and flow is the emotional music of seduction. Most men play one note. You'll play dynamics. Your body is already speaking before your mouth does. Shoulders back, chest soft, not rigid, chin level, feet grounded hip width, movements deliberate. If you touch something, a cup, a chair, a door, do it with intention. Women track hands. Shaky hands scream uncertainty. Steady hands declare competence. When you gesture, cut the air cleanly. When you turn, rotate from the hips, not the neck. The signal is primal. I'm in control of this territory. Combine that with a relaxed micro-smile and direct gaze, and you've already offered a cocktail she rarely tastes. Strength without tension. When you stand next to her, don't square off like you're debating. Stand shoulder to shoulder, slightly angled, close enough that the brush of fabric is a question rather than a demand. If she leans in, you don't reward by flooding her with interest. You reward with a fraction more attention, then withdraw a hair. This subtle push-pull trains desire. It is not manipulation, it is dance. Consent and attunement are the rules of the floor. You lead, but you listen. Let's address your voice. Your voice is your signature. Most men throw their words forward, begging them to land. You will draw your words back and let them drop. End more sentences down than up. Imagine your voice as weight on a velvet rope. It sinks, it doesn't scatter. If you need a practical anchor, place your awareness in your lower belly when you speak. Feel the tone originate lower and travel up instead of starting in your throat. That resonance carries authority. Authority is not aggression. Authority is the quiet belief that your reality is solid. When you respond to a question, answer in fewer words than you think you need. Then let silence do the rest. She will fill it with curiosity. Curiosity is pursuit's first step. Now the content of what you say. Avoid the trap of performing your life like a highlight reel. Highlight reels are cheap and transparent. Instead, reveal glimpses of texture, routines, standards, boundaries. Mention that you train at 6 because it's when the city is still half asleep and you like earning your day before others wake. Mention that you cook on Sundays because it slows your mind and reminds you of family, or that you prefer small dinners to loud clubs because you value conversation over spectacle. These are not brags, they are anchors. They tell her you belong to yourself. They also give her hooks to invest. She can enter those spaces. She can join you for a morning coffee after your workout, or talk recipes, or share her favorite quiet spots. That's where investment begins. Not with you chasing, but with you opening doors to your world. Investment matters more than interest. Interest is cheap. Investment is expensive. Your job is to structure moments that invite her to invest. Ask for small opinions. I'm deciding between 2 wine bars on Thursday. Pick one. Ask for micro efforts. Text me your top 3 espresso places. I'm mapping my coffee tour. When she invests, you reward with appreciation, not pedestalization. Good call, that's exactly my vibe. Lands better than OMG, you're amazing. Subtle difference, massive effect. If she flakes or delays, you don't punish. You reassert your frame. All good. My week is stacked. Let's circle another time. If the energy's still there. That line communicates abundance without hostility. It tells her she isn't your weather. You have your own climate. Let's talk text game because this is where men leak the most power. Texts compress your personality into symbols. Over-explaining, double texting, and humor without calibration translate into a guy seeking reassurance. You will be concise, warm, and decisive. You'll set logistics quickly. Wednesday, 7:30, quiet spot near the park. You in? You'll sprinkle a single playful thread and leave it hanging. If you're late, I'm confiscating one interesting story as tax. You won't text when you're bored, you'll text when you're leading. If a response lingers, you won't poke it with question marks. You'll let the silence burn and live your life. When she replies, you aren't resentful, you're neutral. Cool, Thursday works too. Remember, your attention has value because you treat it like it does. This is the silent economy that governs attraction. Design your first meet with the structure of a man who knows how energy flows. Choose environments that help you lead the pace. A cafe with a corner table, a wine bar with low lighting, a small bistro where conversation can drop into intimacy without straining. Start seated at an angle, not head-on. The angle takes pressure off and invites side glances, which are often more electric than direct stares. After 45 minutes, or earlier if the chemistry spikes, suggest a short walk. Movement changes the emotional channel and creates small bursts of novelty that refresh attention. On the walk, drop your voice slightly. The shared bubble of sound between you becomes intimate real estate. Ask questions that reveal how she filters the world. What do you notice first when you enter a room? What hobby feels like therapy without the bill? These are not standard interview prompts. They bypass autopilot and open a corridor to felt experience. When she shares, listen like a thief stealing details for art. Then reflect the essence of what you heard in a single sentence. You like spaces where people pay attention without shouting. She will feel seen, not studied. That difference is the magnetic field. Touch, when appropriate and welcome, is another language of leadership. Begin with contextually natural micro-touches, guiding lightly at the small of her back as you pass through a doorway, a brief hand to forearm when she laughs, a palm-to-palm high five prolonged a second longer than expected. Always be receptive to her signals. If she stiffens or doesn't reciprocate, you ease off without drama. If she reinitiates, touches your shoulder while talking, holds the high five, leans into your space, you calibrate by holding a beat longer next time. Consent isn't a box you tick once. It's a continuous, attuned dance. The silent dominance here is your patience. You do not rush. You allow the charge to accumulate like static. The electricity of delayed gratification is the adult version of awe. Learn to love it. There will be tests. She'll tease you about your routine, your seriousness, your standards. Good. Tests aren't attacks. They're invitations to play. When she says, "You seem like you always have a plan," you grin and reply, "I like direction with room for detours." Then shift subjects. When she asks, "How many girls do you say that to?" you regard her with amused eyes and say, "Only the ones who can handle it." Then change location, order a drink, or thread in a new topic. You don't justify, you don't convince, you reveal, then redirect. If a test is disrespectful, you handle it cleanly. I don't play that game. If it repeats, you exit. We're not a fit. Take care. That boundary is not cruelty. It's kindness to yourself and to her. Boundaries are masculine oxygen. Without them, there is no polarity, only chaos. Now let's move deeper, into the psychology that flips the chase. Attraction isn't a straight line, it's a loop of tension and release. The loop works like this. You lead with an invitation, she follows with interest, you create a small gap, she steps forward to close it, you reward, then you create another subtle gap. Think of it like stepping stones across a river. If you crowd the stones together, there's no dance. If you space them too far, she won't risk the leap. The silent dominance switch is knowing the exact distance to place the next stone. Give an example. After a good first date, you don't send a paragraph before bed. You send, "That laugh, dangerous." Then you go to sleep. The next morning, you live your life. If she replies with, "Ha, dangerous how?" you wait until lunch and say, "It sneaks up on people." Then, later that day, you propose specifics. Thursday, 8 p.m., 1 hour of trouble at my favorite speakeasy. You're not withholding, you're pacing. Pacing makes her nervous system dance. It creates anticipation without anxiety. Anticipation is desire's oxygen. Scarcity, used ethically, is powerful. Ethical scarcity doesn't manufacture drama, it reflects reality. You have training, work, friends, hobbies, rest. Your nights aren't a blank page waiting for a name. If she suggests a time that conflicts, you say, "Can't do Wednesday," locking in sleep. Friday works. Sleep as a priority communicates self-respect better than bragging about grind. If you end a date early because you said you would, you reinforce your spine. "I'm keeping this short. I like ending on a high." That line is irresistible because it protects the flame. Most men drag the night until energy dies. You end at the peak and leave an aftertaste. She will text you after. She'll ask when she sees you again. That's the switch. Let's talk about openness, because mysterious does not mean opaque. Silence that hides is creepy. Silence that invites is intoxicating. Share specifics that reveal values without oversharing wounds. Say, "I learned to give fewer promises and keep all of them," and then demonstrate it. Say, "I don't raise my voice, I leave." And then, when a bar becomes too loud or a conversation turns unproductive, change location without fanfare. The consistency between your statements and your actions builds trust quickly. Trust is not the enemy of desire. It is the container that lets desire feel safe enough to grow wild. A woman will chase what she trusts, will not humiliate her. Be that man. Not perfect, but predictable in your principles. Social dynamics are a multiplier. In public, you're present without being performative. You greet the staff by name. You tip without peacocking. You hold doors for everyone, not just her. You introduce her to the bartender with a line that frames her as special without simping. This is Sophia. Sharp eyes, dangerous laugh. Notice the pattern. I'm framing with adjectives that reflect how I actually experience her, not objective ratings. People lean in when they feel uniquely perceived. That's silently dominant because it suggests abundance. You've met many, you notice few. That implication carries weight. If you run into friends, you involve her briefly, then pivot back to her. You never abandon your date to chase attention. That discipline says more than any story you could tell. Anger control is part of the switch. Not the suppression of anger, the mastery of it. If something goes wrong, you don't spiral, you reroute. The Uber cancels? We walk. The restaurant is full? We pivot. She will remember your micro decisions more than your macro claims. In those moments, your nervous system becomes the furniture she sits on. If it breaks, she never truly relaxes around you. Practice this in daily life. Choose the longest line at the grocery store and breathe through it. Drive without music and feel your impulses. Train in a way that tests your patience, not just your strength. You are conditioning your baseline so that during dates, you don't have to pretend calm. You are calm. Now, a subtle but crucial tactic: naming the moment. When energy spikes, when she holds your gaze a fraction too long, when laughter hangs in the air, when the shared space feels charged, you don't rush past it. You name it without breaking it. Pause there. That look is trouble. Or, in a whisper, don't do that with your eyes. Then you move on. This is how you braid tension into the timeline. You acknowledge the electricity without exploiting it. The acknowledgement makes the electricity real for both of you and upgrades the connection from casual to calibrated. She will find herself replaying those fragments later, wondering why a simple sentence hit so hard. It hit because you were present enough to catch it. When it's time to part ways, you don't ask permission to be decisive. You look her in the eye, hold the silence a beat, and say, "I'm ending it here." Smile. "I want you to leave while it's still sweet." Then you hold out your arms for an embrace. In that hug, you hold firm and warm, a beat longer than she expects. Then you let go first. There is an archetypal message in that choreography. He leads, he feels, he releases. She will feel it in her body as much as her mind. Afterwards, you don't flood her with analysis. You send a single line later. "Next time, I'm not letting you win that argument." Or, "I'm stealing your cafe recommendation. Meet me there, Tuesday." If she tries to keep you in text chambers, you re-invite in person. You let the written word support the lived experience, not replace it. If you're wondering whether you can apply this beyond dating, you're already thinking like a man of breadth. Silent dominance is a life operating system. In negotiation, it's stating your number and letting silence do the work. In leadership, it's holding the room with pause rather than noise. In the gym, it's the quality of a rep rather than the volume of your playlist. The more you live this way across domains, the less you'll turn it on for women. It will simply be who you are. Women are human lie detectors for incongruence. They may not diagnose it, but they sense it. When your public swagger is built on private discipline, the congruence is palpable. It removes static from the signal. Now the shadows. What if she withdraws? What if she stops replying? What if she seems lukewarm? You do not panic. You audit. Did you lead clearly? Did you create gaps that were invitations rather than walls? Did you end moments at their peak rather than letting them rot? If yes, then her withdrawal is about her bandwidth, timing, or preferences, not a referendum on your value. You send one clean ping. "I'm locking my week. Thursday 8 or Sunday 6. Your call." If silence follows, you exit with dignity. You're lovely. If energy aligns later, reach out. Then you release her psychologically. Release is a discipline. It signals to your nervous system that abundance is real. Men who cling to dead threads clog their channels. You'll keep yours clear. When she reappears, and often they do, you don't punish, you reframe. "Let's try that coffee. If the vibe's right, we continue. If not, we trade cafe tips and part as fans." You always protect the dignity of the interaction. That's power. Let's go granular with a date blueprint you can deploy this week. You invite her to a spot you genuinely like, somewhere with a quiet corner and soft light. You arrive 5 minutes early, not to pace, but to settle into the space. When she comes in, you stand to greet her. You notice one detail and name it. The color that makes her eyes louder, the ring that looks like a story, the energy that says she rushed or she glided. Then you lead to the table. You choose a seat that lets you angle at 45 degrees. You open with a simple frame. "I'm keeping this to an hour. I have a promise with my pillow." That line communicates maturity without apology. Conversation begins. You ask one question that matters. You listen. You reflect one sentence. You share a slice of yourself that matches the depth she offered. If she stays superficial, you keep it light. If she opens a layer, you honor it with presence. Midway, you stand to get water and invite her to stretch her legs. Then you return with a playful micro-challenge. You have 30 seconds to choose dessert or surrender choice to me. You keep things moving without pressure. When the hour nears, you look at your watch once, then at her. "I'm ending it on a high." Hug. Leave. Later, a single line. Logistics for next time. Repeat. When intimacy deepens over multiple meets, maintain polarity by staying anchored to your mission. The temptation will be to flood each other's schedules, to dissolve into constant messaging, to replace mystery with management. Resist. Continuity beats intensity. Let your life remain your life. Training, brotherhood, projects, rest, and invite her into that rhythm rather than abandoning it for her. Counterintuitively, this deepens closeness because she feels your center holds. She can relax into you because she knows you won't disappear into her. That knowledge makes her chase not out of anxiety, but out of admiration and desire. There's a specific mental tool that locks in the switch. Outcome indifference, not apathy. Apathy is dead energy. Outcome indifference is vibrant engagement without dependence. You commit to playing your side of the game impeccably, leading, attuning, pacing, respecting, and you release the scoreboard. You don't contort yourself to win a particular woman. You reveal yourself and see who's drawn. This flips the energetic polarity. Women feel when a man's attention is a survey for validation. They also feel when a man's attention is an offering from a full life. The first makes them cautious. The second makes them curious. Curiosity is the seed of chase. Guard it. Practice all of this in low-stakes environments. Make eye contact with the barista and hold a beat. Speak slower to the cashier and let silence fall after a joke. Ask the trainer at your gym a thoughtful question and wait fully for the answer without rushing to fill the gap. Train your tolerance for empty space. Once you love the taste of pause, you'll bring that palate to dates without thinking about it. You'll also notice a shift in your posture, your walk, your voice. The body adopts what the mind believes repeatedly. The more you collect references of grounded interactions, the more your nervous system trusts silence as an ally. Then the switch stops being a technique and becomes your baseline. If you want a litmus test for whether you're in silent dominance, ask yourself 3 questions in the middle of an interaction. First, is my breath low and steady? If not, slow down your speech by 10%. Second, am I leading with invitations instead of requests? If you're asking for reassurance, is this okay? Do you like me? Change one question to a lead. Let's walk. Sit here. Try this. Third, have I created one small, delicious gap for her to close? If not, place a stepping stone, stand a fraction closer and say nothing, end the conversation slightly early, or leave a text thread unresolved at its peak with a time-stamped plan for next time. Those 3 adjustments, breath, lead, gap, are enough to flip the energy on the spot. You'll notice an interesting thing as you practice. Women who value strength and warmth will appear more often. Women who crave chaos will self-select out. You will stop wasting time converting the incompatible and start enjoying the compatible. That is the hidden gift of the switch. It doesn't just make her chase you, it makes the right women chase you. And when the right woman chases, it isn't frantic, it's playful, steady, alive. She texts first sometimes. She suggests, she invests, she opens windows you didn't even know were in the room. You reciprocate without losing yourself. That's grown attraction, that's the point. We're ending soon, so I want you to hold one image. Imagine you are a lighthouse on a foggy coast. The fog is the noise of modern dating. Apps, notifications, advice, counter-advice. Ships don't need a lighthouse to shout, they need it to shine steadily. Your job is not to signal every passing boat. Your job is to be so consistent in your illumination that the ships meant for your shore find their way without confusion. Silent dominance is that steady beam. It's not a trick, it's a standard. And as you live it, the women who are tired of drift, of boys with bright fireworks and no fire, will feel relief when your light reaches them. They will chase clarity. They will chase you. Before you go, set a micro-commitment that turns this from theory into muscle. Tonight, write down 3 standards that define your frame. Sleep before midnight on weeknights, no double texting, dates end at their peak. Tomorrow, choose one environment and practice being the slowest heartbeat in the room. This week, invite someone into your world with a clear plan, a precise time, and a playful line. Then end the moment on your terms. Collect the reference. Each reference is a brick in the foundation of the man you're becoming. If this felt like a mirror showing parts of you you've been ignoring, stay with me. Subscribe so we can build the rest of your arsenal together. Tell me in the comments which part you'll practice first. Men who declare their next move tend to make it. And share this with the friend who needs to stop chasing and start leading. Remember, dominance isn't loud. You are the lighthouse. Let the world adjust to your light.